And here's this game that has been played recently more often, straight up from a director of hiring at a major airline.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. They're making career decisions based on advice from friends or posts on internet forums, meaning they are taking huge risks with their livelihood without having all the details. This podcast was created to help you understand the aviation industry so you can find your dream job. Let's get ready for Pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nick Fialka.
Hey, pilot, welcome to Ready for Pushback interview style today with me, Nick Fialka, and I'm so glad you're here. It has been a really interesting week. I am sitting here, it's winter time, it's cold outside. I don't like the cold weather. I know most people don't like the cold weather, but I'm sitting around thinking about what am I going to talk to people about? What is a great wintertime beginning of the interview season conversation? And I was racking my brain a little bit, and all of a sudden, it's like the skies opened up and this serendipitous text showed up from a director of hiring at a major airline. And he said to me, "Hey, Nick, I have a great idea for a solo show on your podcast." And I was very excited because it's not often that I get an unsolicited text from a director of hiring wanting me to make a solo episode. Sometimes it happens, not all the time, and this one was really interesting. He said to me, "I think you need to talk about transparency." And I thought that was a fantastic idea. And here's why. There's a few other things in the text message, and I'll talk about that as we get into it. But I want to talk about transparency and what it is and why it's important. Transparency is the idea that what you say is true, that what you are referring to is honest, and that you are not hiding anything. There is nothing to hide. And that is so interestingly important in our little world of being a professional pilot. If you're going to go get a job at McDonald's or some retail shop or whatever, your honesty, is important, but it probably doesn't really matter as much as if you're getting a job where you are going to be responsible for the lives of hundreds of people. The idea of fibbing or not being clear or holding back, that is a very, very telling and treacherous way to lose a job fast. And there has been a large struggle recently in the hiring world with pilots when it comes to transparency. The interviewer looks at transparency as kind of the guiding light, the thing that is part of who you are, where they know that they can trust you. When you start to hide things, they immediately have distrust. And if you are hiding something, or you are trying to gloss over something, or you are trying to get ahead despite your shortcomings, they see it. And here is where they see it. They see it on your application. When you are going through the hell of filling out the applications for all the different airlines on all the different websites and spending all the different time and all the work and all the effort, it's the worst. It is the absolute worst. And one of those things on there that they usually ask is, have you had any training failures? Have you had any check ride failure? What was your GPA? What was this? What was that? And they expect those answers to be succinct, and they expect those answers to be honest. And here's this game that has been played recently more often, straight up from a director of hiring at a major airline. It's told to me that people will fill out an application. Have you had any check ride failures? And they'll say no, or they'll say one, or they'll say whatever. And then they'll submit their application. Eventually they'll get an interview invite. And there will be a note in there, hey, make sure you update your application accordingly before you show up so it's as fresh and new as can be. And that email that they send out, here's what they're asking for. They're asking for you to tell us all the good news stories since you've submitted your application, right? Tell us about maybe a new type rating. Tell us about maybe you've done some more volunteering. Maybe you've gotten more hours, all the things where it's a good news story. But when you go into your application and you change your failures, check ride failures specifically, from 1 to 3 or 1 to even 2, and you mention something that was not on your application, you are not being transparent. You are not empowering yourself. You're not building a workplace of trust. What you're doing is showing that you're dishonest. Because here's what. When your application is pulled, they snap a chalk line. They have that copy and they print it out and they bring it with them along with whatever the most recent copy of your application that before your interview, and they bring it with and they sit down with you and look at you face to face. Everybody does this. If you are a person that goes in and makes a change for the negative that shows that you actually omitted something that appears dishonest, it appears backhanded, and they, being the interview team, will automatically lose all trust in you. And they don't want a massaging of an application. They want to interview you for who you are. A failure is a failure, but showing that you can overcome those obstacles and move forward, that's a good news story. And a lot of people, man, I feel it. I know it. I feel you. I feel you. When I was going through the process, I was just starting out. I thought about all the different ways where I could show off how great I was. I wanted to show off, how many hours I had and that I was a crew resource management instructor. Not only that, but like I taught at the school, right, that taught all this, or, all these things that show that I'm a little bit better, that I'm the person you should hire because I've got all these quals. But what it comes down to, the quals are part of the thing, but if you've got to scrape and scrounge and hide stuff for yourself just to get a call to show up at the dance, nobody there is going to want to dance with you. They're going to turn off the music very quickly and they're going to send you out and they're going to send you home. And that's what's happening right now at major airline interviews. And I want to caution you on this. Man, hand to God, I want you to succeed. I want you to be awesome. I want to fly with you. I want you to sit in my right seat. I want you to sit with Bill Sims. I want you to sit with Tron Williams. All our friends, we all want to spend time with you. We want to know who you are. And so do the people at the major airlines that are hiring right now. They want you for who you are. Can you imagine you are going on a first date with your spouse and you're lying, your future spouse, and you're hiding stuff and you're covering things up? You are not going to get an authentic look. The person who's looking at you is not looking at the authentic you. And they are really not getting the truth. And you need to show your authentic self, all your scars, all your bruises, all the nasty things that are not great. And you need to stand there without shame and know that you're worthy and that you are good. And they want to look at that and know that you are a person they can trust with millions of dollars worth of equipment, with hundreds of people and their families that are trusting you and their friends that are trusting you and all of those things. Because that little thing on your application that you just decided to not be transparent about, that little thing could be the fact that you're trying to take off without minimum takeoff fuel. Maybe you're 100 pounds less than you need to be. You have to have the integrity to turn around and say, hey, we're going back. We need more gas. Same thing. You need to have the integrity to stand up and say, hey, I failed 2 things. Hey, I failed 4 things. Hey, I failed 7 things. I don't care how many it is. Put them all on there. Let your record stand for itself. Because if you do, and you get a call they already know who you are. And they're ready to talk to you about why you'd be a good fit for their company. But if you put that you had 3 failures, but you really have 5 failures, and you make that change, see ya. See you later, man. It's not going to happen. And that's just how it goes. And so the person that emailed me, that texted me, said that they have a record number of applicants adjusting their check right answers once they get invited to the interview. And they track this. They watch it. Why would you go so far as to get the opportunity of a lifetime and squander it for decimal dust, man? Just don't even do it. So I challenge you. I want you to look ahead. I want you to own it. If you've made a mistake, you've had something hard to talk about, own it. Step forward. It's okay. You can overcome this shortcoming. You are good. You are loved. You are a person that deserves to be there. You are a person that can succeed. You can succeed in training. You can succeed on the line. Whatever it is, you can look obstacles in the face. That adversity, you can see it and you can overcome it. Or at least you know who to call when the time is tough. And that's what they want. So do that. Be honest. Be straightforward. Be transparent. And that's probably what I need to say tonight. I'm really happy that you're here. I'm thankful that you listen to my show. I honestly do this for you. I do this so that you can have as much fun as I'm having. I do this so that you can tell somebody else that they should think about this too, because it is good. It is so fun. And I'm glad you're part of my little life. I hope we get to meet. I hope we get to fly together. And I hope you're transparent, because you should.
Hey, before you jump out of here and go on to the next podcast, can I ask a big favor? Would you mind going over to your app that you're listening to this podcast on and give me a review? Give me a 5-star review if you love it. Give me a 1-star review if it totally sucks. Put a comment in there, something that is helpful. It helps me. It helps get the word out there. It helps people find the podcast, and that's super cool. If you don't do that, maybe you could just share the podcast with a friend. Tell a buddy who's trying to figure it out, trying to sort out this pilot dream of theirs and get a little bit further. That is super awesome as well. Last, if you don't do either of those two things, how about this? Find a way today to make yourself 1% better. Do that thing that you've been putting off. Put your foot forward, make movement, get yourself going, get that inertia that you need to succeed in this industry. So that's your choice. Leave a review, tell a friend, or make yourself better. Either way, it's all a good choice. And I'm super stoked you're listening, and I will see you on the next episode. The statements made on this show are my own opinions and do not reflect, nor are they under any direction from my employer.